Hey, everybody, it's yours truly, the Iceman, Jamie Dundee, and you're listening to Wolfie D's Live and in Color, because don't diss the man or we'll bum rush your mother.
Hey, this is Jimmy Street, host of the Live and in Color with Wolfie D podcast. Hear the life and times of professional wrestler Wolfie D. From his time in the territories with PG-13 to his time in WWE, ECW, WCW, TNA, and more. Nothing is off limits and nothing will be held back. Thanks again for tuning in. Here he is, Wolfie D.
Welcome once again to Live and in Color with Wolfie D. I hope everybody's doing well. I know I'm just sitting here having a cup of coffee this morning, getting started for this episode of Top 10 Tag Teams. Me and Jimmy across the street are going to compete with our list once again. And you guys, I really would love more feedback on what you guys' lists are. Like, we got all these people, thousands of people listening to us, but we got about 10 that want to talk to it. What's up with that?
I mean, I think there's a theory to that, is that there are some people that just want to listen and they don't want to have any involvement. And thank you all for that. Yeah. And there are some people that want to listen and be involved. And I think that percentage is unfortunately just smaller. But hey, the more the merrier.
And not to cut you off, but I have a question for the listeners. If this is something else I could get interactive here, would be, where do you listen to this podcast? When you listen to us, are you driving to work? Are you doing what are you doing when you're listening to this? I'd love to know the answer to that from a lot of you.
Yeah, and take a picture. No, I'm just kidding. No, just kidding. But yeah, no, I mean, I just envision things of like people in the bathroom. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, but yeah, on the way to work, probably, I would say. A
couple that, take us to the toilet.
Yeah, and what's funny, I think you're exactly right on that. But what I would say to that is also, like people that would say, oh, I listen to you while I'm at work. Well, like, what kind of job would allow a person? I mean, unless you're like a security guard or something.
Or the earbud, man.
Right.
Nobody knows if you're on the phone or you're fucking psycho talking to yourself or what, or you're listening to something you ain't going to be saying much. So.
And do you remember when that was not cool, having a Bluetooth? It was like,
I still don't think it's real cool.
But no, now they got the little thing. I'm guilty about it too. I got the little Apple AirPod deal kicking out my ear there. But it's funny because we used to think like our uncle that wore the fanny packs after they were cool.
Yeah.
And I know you wrestlers, it's a touchy subject, fanny pack.
And I just got a new one the other day.
I love them. Yeah.
I think you know this about me, that one of my pet peeves, man, talking back to the earpiece, is I can't stand people that talk on the phone in public, especially. Okay, I can somewhat tolerate the earpiece if you're, being a little bit quiet. But, man, you see these people with the earpiece say, yeah, Jack, I know, man. I talked to Virginia the other day, and I was going over, shut the fuck up. I do not want to hear all that shit. And then on the other, if they don't have the earpiece, you got this loud son of a gun. Yeah. Man, go on with that shit, man. Take your phone call somewhere else. I'm old school.
Yeah, totally. And
I don't want you listening to my phone call. That's the other thing. Like, I don't do it because, hell, remember when we was kids, man? You never wanted anyone to hear you on the phone. You would drape the cord under your room if you didn't have a phone in your room. You drape it under the door, shut the door, and sit in there and, hey, guys, what's going on? And I'm the same way still. I don't whisper, but I don't want people all around me when I'm talking on the phone. I don't see how to do that. And I've gotten off on a rant here this morning, Jimmy.
Hey, it's good. It's gets your blood flowing, man. Get you a rant about some stupid people on the cell phone. Anyway, hey, also the speakerphone people, because some people just shouldn't speakerphone in public either because of just what the other person is going to say. In fact, I feel like it's almost disrespectful to the other person.
Yeah, If somebody's doing that to me, I'm cutting them off.
Right. Am I on speakerphone? Hold on now.
I'm raking the eyes, man. I'm stopping you.
Yeah, raking the eyes. I love it. That's awesome. Well, yeah. So, speaking of cell phones and stuff, I guess people will be getting those for this little holiday they got coming up called Christmas. Mm-hmm. So you got any interesting plans for Christmas, brother?
Man, just the normal, man. Have some family and get to see my little boy, and hopefully everybody has a great time. But sometimes the holidays, they're stressful as hell, and then You can't wait till it's over, But, society in general has changed to where nobody gives a crap about. Honestly, I feel like at Thanksgiving and at Christmas, it's not like it was when I was growing up. And I've been to different people's families and stuff like that. People basically just show up. Hey, how you doing? Let's talk for just a little bit. Hey, let's eat. Hey, and if it's Christmas, hey, let's open gifts. Thank you, guys. Been great seeing you. See you next year.
Gizzo his
Or we got somewhere else to be. We got
but I'm just saying
the whole family shit is not even a thing really anymore. It's just whose house are we going to eat and open presents?
Yeah, totally. Who are we eating? Eating presents. Who are we going to there?
Depending on what you get, you could possibly eat your presents.
Eat the presents, yeah. I do feel like the person that decided that, because I feel like it was some kind of, maybe 90s couple and their kids that decided, hey, we got to do everybody's in one day. Yeah. And I hate that person because it doesn't give you any quality time. Even if you just want to fall asleep on the couch. Wolfie, we're older gentlemen now. Not to say we're we're not drawing Medicaid or anything like that, but at the same time, we're older gentlemen. We deserve to be able to fall asleep on a recliner with football on, we deserve that.
And even, man, my little boy, with the internet and all this kind of stuff, what we talk about, how they're exposed to all this stuff. Like, I swear to you, man, my little boy said to me, I said something about Santa. He said, Santa's not real.
Man.
I said, what? He said, Santa's not real. I said, who told you that? He said, I just know. Yeah. And I know that's why he knows is because of the internet, and kids talking at school. And it's just the fun's not there. I believed in Santa Claus way past 8, not because I was fucking stupid, but because I wanted to believe in Santa Claus. I enjoyed, the way we did it was open family gifts on Christmas Eve night, and then the next morning I got all my Santa shit, which was always the bougie shit.
Yep.
So I don't know. It's just not the same anymore. But Merry Christmas, everyone. I'm not a Grinch or a bah humbug. But
we're not Grinches here, but at the same time, you're exactly right. So, hey, y'all tell us what you all like and miss about Christmas. Put that on the socials. Let us know. We'd love to hear. But I think today,
what are we here for today, Jimmy?
Our Christmas gift to them is, I wanted to do a show about tag teams, so I think we should call in a tag team expert, maybe a guy who's been in a tag team for the majority of his career. Could very well be possibly one.
And let's take a break, and I'll see if I can get somebody on the line that knows a thing or two about that.
Okay, I love it. We'll be right back after these messages.
Hey, folks, to get your official Live It in Color with Wolfie D merchandise, go to prowrestlingtees.com/live Wolfie D. Check it out.
If you're listening to Live and in Color with Wolfie D on Apple Podcast and like what you're hearing, go ahead and leave a 5-star rating. And while you're at it, write a review. Tell us what you liked. Tell us what you'd like to hear in the future. It's very important to us and always appreciated. Thanks again.
All right, we are back, and we are about to start our top 10 tag teams of all time list. I think you wanted an expert. Okay, here I am, Jimmy. I'll do my best to give expertise, and I'll give you my expert list.
So are you going to go first, and you're going to take the heat?
Yeah, I'll take the heat.
Call me in on this hot tag.
I'll take the heat. And these were hard, man. And I really just wrote these down. Honestly, they came to my head like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
And I double looked at it. And I'm like, okay, I made one change, and actually the order that I put them in originally, because a lot of times when we do these lists, I'll write stuff down, and then I'll go back and go, that's 10, and write the number beside it. This I had in order of the way I think it's going to go. I didn't have to reorder it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What did you take into consideration on some of these things?
I tried to take longevity, but I also tried to take, I don't know, man. Also, I think they're just my top 10 favorite tag teams. I know that sounds lame because it really should be tag teams of all time or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I think I ended up just being like, you know what? I love this tag team and I can't take them off here.
Yeah.
And some people are going to be like, dude, there's no way, but I don't really care. You know, God forbid somebody give us some correspondence here, but
this is when we do these top teams, it's very much an opinion show. It's not.
It is. Yeah.
What I say is right.
Right.
And a lot of these are my favorites too. And I tried to think about longevity and money drawn and either heat or how over they were, shit like that. So without further ado, I think I'm going to go ahead and give you my number 10.
Let's do it.
And this is probably, let me look here. This is probably one of my actual most like recent tag team, because there's, tag team wrestling ain't the same no more. So I'm not going to bullshit you. A lot of my list is older.
Yeah.
I'm sure nobody, that's not a surprise to anyone, but, so this is my newest one, and it's, oh, you didn't know? And Road Dogg and Billy Gunn were a great team together. They complemented each other well. Where one would lack, the other one picked up. Classic tag team. And in the era, the Attitude Era, they were perfect, man. And they had a great run. And that's my number 10.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I've kind of thought about the New Age Outlaws as a bit of a, kind of like if PG-13 on steroids, man. Think about it, because you take Road Dogg to Jamie, Billy Gunn to you, and again, I mean, dude, I think that comparison is kind of strong, actually, now that I think about it. But, dude, great tag team.
Yeah,
man. I mean, when tag teams almost had gone, they had tried to get rid of tag teams in a sense.
WWEFG has never, I don't want to say never, but just like the classic, they look alike tag teams hadn't been there in forever,
Right. Singular focus.
I can think of, but not a lot.
Yeah, they made the tag teams something again, and I mean, just, I don't know, one of the great tag teams of that era, one of the standouts for sure. And I can't agree more. They're a great tag team, man, for sure. Okay. So my number 10, now I did go a little current on some things here, and I'll just say it, I've kind of probably missed a few here that you won't agree with, but these are mine, and that's where we're going with it. So number 10 for me, they are now not the Jack and the old guys, but this is the Briscoes from Ring of Honor. They are Mark and Jay Briscoe. They honestly are they're a brother tag team. To me, they are one of the bright spots of Ring of Honor to me. I know there was Daniel Bryan and those guys there, Samoa Joe's, all those guys, but to me, one of the few bright spots of the latter era of the Ring of Honor, and for the whole time, honestly, with the Briscoes. These guys are the team that I would have loved for PG-13 to have been able to work, because I just can't imagine how amazing the promos were. Honestly, you guys would have, I mean, all four of you would be cutting killer promos, and it would just be it would be almost like, well, the in-ring competition would almost be second to the, you know what I'm saying? Because really, I mean, they're kind of brawlers, and you guys have your own style. And would that even work? I don't know, probably, but
yeah, we make that work. And plus, we had our brawls too. I mean, most of the mountain stuff and all that was nothing but a brawl, and
yeah,
they're good, man, and cool dudes. I'd like to have worked with them. Yeah, and
dude, that'd be killer.
But I haven't I've seen a little bit of their stuff, and I can tell they're good. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to really that knows what they're looking at to go, okay, yeah, they're good, and they talk and blah blah blah. But I'd like to watch more of their stuff, honestly.
Yeah, it's great. You would enjoy it. Yeah,
that's a good one. And So my number 9, and right here, I would like for you to insert the singing of the Russian national anthem by Volkov right here.
Okay.
My number 9 is Nikolai Volkov in the Iron Sheik. Give me hell yeah! And my reasoning behind this pick is because of the timing of the gimmick, the Iran and the Russian, and the real world heat with that, and they had heat, man. And I of course, Sheik's super good promos and all that stuff. Never a huge fan of Nikolai. I don't know why. I just wasn't as a kid, and right. I haven't watched his stuff as a wrestler. So and this is going to sound awful because I'm putting him in my list. So I'm not really knocking him, but I just don't know how good of a worker he was. But it was all about the gimmick, man.
Right. He was probably originally one of those guys that came in for Bruno, I would imagine, right? And or maybe Bob Backlund. But anyway, he's a big, strong Russian dude. On the Russian end of things, I always lean towards the Koloffs versus the Volkov. But, the Sheik made it. Is one of those tag teams that I think was like one of those original Vince McMahon style tag teams where he takes two people and puts them together and they don't have to look alike. But in this case, they fit so well together because of the Cold War and Iran and Russia, and it just really fit. And I think they were kind of, one of the early tag teams was the U.S. Express with Barry Windham and Mike Rotunda, and then, which was the Real American tag team before Hulk Hogan. They used that song before Hogan. Anyway, not getting off on a tangent there, but yeah, heck, man, they're in the cartoon, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's one thing I've always said to Wolfie. I was like, I want to have one guest that's been in the cartoon, and maybe it's Hillbilly Jim. I don't know. We're going to have to get somebody, though.
It's from the cartoon.
Because it ain't going to be Tito Santana, apparently, right, Tito? Anyway.
I don't think so.
Anyway, great tag team. So my number 9, man, you hit it on the head with number 10, brother. And honestly, like I said earlier, there's not much more to be said about them in the fact that they made tag teams mean something again in the New Age Outlaws. They could be honestly number 1 because of what they meant to that era of tag teams. Because, dude, to me, it's just like, it's like hip and hop. It's like rhyme and flow. It's like they were so perfect together, even though they had, you had the one Armstrong, who's a second generation star that had an awesome wrestling family. Then you had Bart and Billy Gunn, the Smoking Gun. So, I mean, really the amazing athlete in that one. It just made sense. So anyway, I don't want to really kill that one too much, but the New Age Outlaws are my number 9.
Cool. And obviously we're probably going to I feel like there's going to be more duplicates in this list once we start getting up to the big top, probably. But so, yeah, I mean, I've said what I've said about DX, so I'm going to move on to number 8. And this was hard because I got really 2 right here. And I'm just my number 8's going to be a tie. That's what I'm going with.
Okay.
No, that's not a tie. That's not a tie. It's really not. It's really not. This is the only time that I've written this list that I've second guessed what I put down. But I'm not going to second guess myself. Fuck it. I'm going with the Sheep Herders.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going with the Bushwhackers. No, that was a completely, in my mind, different thing. The Sheep Herders, something different. Right. And they were violent. Again, foreigners were still kind of a thing. And, the bloody brawls and Memphis stuff and all that, man, that was just good stuff. And I remember it. So that's what I'm going with.
Great tag team. Kind of the guys that paid their careers in blood and then got the payoff of Vince to be good guys and to be kind of a joke tag team, which anybody that followed the Sheepherders, I mean, I remember sitting there as a kid thinking this tag team was just ripping each other's guts out with other tag teams, and then they're here licking kids' heads. I was like, something's not right here. I just actually feared this tag team. I thought they were going to actually kill LOD, and no, they didn't. They actually now would job to LOD easily, but good for them. They got their money, and they had a good long career with Vince. I mean, nothing wrong with that, dude. Everybody wants that. So yeah. And like you said, some of their great Fantastics, the Fabs, all that. Great tag team. So,
and, scary, believable looking dudes,
Definitely scary, believable looking dudes. And always kind of thought they were brothers, even though I think they said their names, they kind of just have a similar look and everything. Yeah. Worked so well together. Anyway, Hall of Famers, they deserve that all. And, obviously go back and listen to the Luke episode up in the early times when it was like last Thanksgiving, I remember.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right. Well, my number 8 couldn't be more different than the Sheepherders, but there's nothing wrong with that. And this is another new tag team, and then you'll start to notice the new wears off and the old comes back. But this is number 8, and I think some people consider them for sure one of the greatest tag teams of all time, even though in their young career, who knows if they've been able to prove that or not. But my number 8 is FTR, or the Revival, or however you want to call them. But, this tag team, man, they've put the focus back on tag teams. And, I'm such a tag team mark. I mean, having a brother growing up, we're tag team fans. We love tag teams because we were tag team, and knowing you and listening to your stories of being tag team partners and just awesome stuff like that. I just love tag teams, and FTR to me are the epitome of a 80s or 90s tag team put in the current, I don't like that they split them up so much, put them in singles matches as much. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe they just do that to fill time or something, but
probably. But at the same time, I don't like that either. That takes away from the fact that they're tag team specialists,
right? But they cut the ring off, dude. They do double team moves, which I love that all the time. I always liked it when the baby faces would do double team stuff. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. To me, it just means so much. But anyway, FTR is my number 8. Great team.
And I don't know that I have, unfortunately, much to put in on this because I've not seen them work. I know you've told me about them. I've heard about them. I've seen their pictures. I know what their deal is, so that I know that they are good. But I just don't have much to put on that. And I apologize to you and to the listeners because I just, me, man, just a lot of the new stuff slips by me.
It's all good, man. Totally. Current Affairs, sponsored by. Never mind.
Yeah.
No, but FTR. You're like, hold on. No, number 8 though with FTR. I would have also loved to have seen them work PG-13. I think that would have been an incredible matchup too, because even though a lot of people think of y'all as brawlers, y'all could do scientific too, and that's that's cool.
Ways. I mean, we could work a heel brawl, a babyface brawl. We need to get to wrestling as babyface or to wrestling as heels. Which I need somebody out there to find this fan cam footage from ECW. There is so many good matches that are on the ECW fan cam from 96, 97 of me and Jamie working with Mikey Whipwreck and Spike Dudley that were just off the chain matches, man. They really were.
Yeah, we need those for sure.
Anyway.
FTR can take a hubcap. We guarantee that, right?
So we are at my number 7.
Yes.
And I'm going to go with because of the Texas stuff and the 3-man thing, man, the fabulous Freebirds and what they meant to the evolution of 80s wrestling and, the entrance music and Michael P.S. Hayes and how he was. And you had Big Gordy, and it's like they filled all the spots. It was like a rock band for real. You had the front man, you had the big guy, and then the technical guy. Buddy.
Yeah.
And the shit that they did, I mean, they were selling out against the Von Erichs in, stadiums and shit, man. It's like, That shit, you don't understand how over that shit was in Texas, man. I know you do. I just mean, that's pretty impressive, man. And they led the way. You know, you got to have the dragons in order to have the dragon slayers, and the Von Erichs were definitely dragon slayers. But without the Freebirds, you know, maybe they wouldn't have been as over. Who knows?
You said it perfect, man. The Freebirds were believable dragons, man. Mm-hmm. They could go up against the LOD. They would paint their face with the full red and blue stars and bars on their face, and you know, dude. And you're right, Buddy was the bumper. You know, you had the heater with Gordy, and you had Michael P.S. Hayes, who everybody wanted to beat but couldn't because he could also go at the same time. Anyway, the Freebirds, man, great choice. Love that team. Also revolutionized, like you said, the music in that, but also revolutionized the idea of a new version of a tag team in calling the Freebird rule. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is still used to this day. So, well, my number 7 is almost the exact opposite, but great workers in the same regard. And they are the Hart Foundation. Now, this is the original one with Jimmy Hart as the manager. This is the one I'm picturing that I have on this list. Jimmy Hart's the manager. You've got Brett and you've got Jim the Anvil Neidhart. Dude, I love the idea of a scientific mat-based worker, you know, with a brute. You know what I mean? It's like a cinder block and a ballerina, you know, because an anvil could be a hell of a base for somebody that if they were high flyers, they were working. You know, Anvil was strong, fast, powerful, powerhouse. And then you have Brett, who could, you know, probably a little more dynamic of a worker back then versus what he turned into as a, he was a little more catch as catch can, as JR would say, whereas he turned into a more mat-based kind of guy.
And again, when we do these lists, man, it's like you'll say something like, fuck, man, I want to put that one on my list. You know what I mean? 'Cause I really forgot that was one that just kind of passed by me.
Yeah.
And I guess it's because like Brett's had such a long singles career, and you know what I'm saying? Like most of the time that I've been in the business, he's been a singles wrestler. And when I was a kid, he was the tag team, and I guess that's kind of why it slipped my mind or something. But yeah, hell yeah, man, Hart Foundation, man. You can't deny how good they were and how over they were. And I'm with you, you know, Jimmy Hart with them, and
Well, let me ask you this, man, because I've never really asked you this on the air. Did you know either one of those guys while y'all were working up there?
I met Brett, and I talked to him a few times, and of course I've talked to Jimmy Hart before.
Yeah,
I don't recall Neidhart being around.
It just seems like y'all would have partied with Neidhart. I don't know, man. You know,
smoked the joint with Brett, but
well, I heard that he was a fan. He partook. So, but Brett, you know, I just didn't know if Brett was so to himself. You know,
he was, but you know, it's one of those deals. I think me and Jamie got on the elevator or something, and he. Like either I can't remember, he smelled like pot, or we knew he had something, and he's like, "Well, now you got to come smoke with me, so you can't tell on me." So.
That's awesome. Good for y'all. The hitman. So anyway, go ahead with your number 6 there, Wolfie D.
All right, my number 6. Because I'm gonna do this at some point. I am calling an audible at some point. And I'm just trying to figure out where I'm putting it.
Okay, audible. Yeah.
So hard for so many different reasons. But I'm gonna leave this one. I'm gonna leave this one alone again. I'm going with my gut and my first instincts, and I'm going with the fabulous ones. The '80s and the shit that they did was just over. I lived during it. You know what I'm saying? They were over, motherfucker. And of course, you know. I was a fan, and they just had the charisma, and a lot of it was fights, you know, brawls and shit. But man, they made it work, man, and it was good stuff. They drew money, and that's another reason I said, you know, is drawing money a reason I'm gonna put these people on here? Yeah, I'm gonna take that into consideration and how over they were. Not necessarily the longest longevity out of the teams that I've got here, but you know, they deserve that spot there, I think.
Oh, totally, dude. And to me, we think so often of the Road Warriors and the teams that ripped off the Road Warriors, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the Powers of Pain. I could have easily put them on my top 10 because I love the Powers of Pain, even though they really didn't have the longevity or quality of match.
Mm-hmm.
It's the look for me on those guys. But also, you have Demolition, you have Doom, you had all those the Blade Runners, all that. But then with this team, Fabulous Ones are the Road Warriors for their own kind of tag teams.
Yeah.
The Rock and Rolls, the Fantastics, the Rockers. I mean, all those tag teams were the fun-loving pretty boys. You know what I mean? And I know it's passe or it's kind of out of favor to say this now, but white meat baby faces, man.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it is, right?
That was the thing. That was the formula.
Right.
The formula is really of what a baby face is has definitely changed.
Definitely. But God, man. And, Stan had a great career with the Midnights, the Heavenly Bodies, and then his career kind of ended due to injury there. But Steve, dude, having him on the show back then and him talking about how, I was doing the Skinner and I was still kind of cute, so I had to get ugly. And it's just funny, man, and then telling the story about how he would drop the number of pictures sold on Jerry Lawler's floor in his locker room just to mess with him. Oh man, hilarious. He lived the gimmick, and I'm sure they slayed at the after party too. So
not sure.
Oh man. Anyway, well, that one is a perfect one. And as much as you are kicking yourself for not having the Heart Foundation on there, I'm kicking myself for not getting the Fabs on mine. But again, it's kind of, people say, oh, it just came out of me. I was writing this book and it just came out of me. And so that's my list. So, so number 6 for me is honestly, it started with the action figures, the LJN action figures, but I really fell in love with this tag team as a kid, so much so that, I feel like in my later years, I kind of neglected on them a little bit because the one guy went solo after, anyway, I'm just saying the British Bulldogs, I think, are one of the greatest tag teams ever, man. Another team I would love to see. I would love to see combinations of all of these guys together on my list, but the Bulldogs and the Heart Foundation, that's like the Midnights and the Rock and Roll, that's, that's Hogan and Andre are that. I mean, better than that. Those guys are so innovative. Dynamite Kid and Davey Boy Smith, man, so good. Yeah.
I forgot how much I actually really like the British Bulldogs. That's another one too, where I think Davey Boy had been by himself for a while by the time I get in the business. So I just remember Davey Boy doing other things. The British Bulldogs never crossed my mind when I was doing this. And now that's another kick myself in the ass. It's like, fuck, I love the British Bulldogs when I was a kid. But I just didn't think of them. Sometimes I think, sometimes I am thinking as a kid when we're doing these shows, but then sometimes I'm still thinking as the veteran here.
Well, I'm sure it's hard to decipher and split up. I will give a shout out, Gene Jackson at the Cheap Heat TV podcast. I got to give him a shout out. They have an incredible YouTube. So while you're over there clicking, subscribing to the Live and in Color with Wolfie D podcast YouTube channel, definitely give Gene and the team over there a like. They have an incredible match on their channel that's the Bulldogs versus the Rock and Roll Express, and I think it's from All Japan. Incredible match, man. Really high quality, 30-minute match. It's long as crap, but it's a really good match. And you can imagine those two teams having a great match. So,
I think I'll go subscribe right now.
Yeah, go do it. All right. Well, I say, why don't we do this? Let's give the little break here. You cool with that?
I'd be right back. I was going to subscribe. You thought I was kidding?
Oh, yeah. Good point. After these messages.
Let's take a quick time out and get a word from one of my dope-ass sponsors, and we'll be right back with more Live and in Color with Wolfie D.
Support for Live and in Color with Wolfie D is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped recently launched the Ultimate Men's Hygiene Bundle, the Performance Package. Join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code WOLFIE at manscaped.com. If my math's correct, That's about 8 million balls.
Hey folks, this is Wolfie D here, and if you are looking to buy or sell a home in Tennessee or Southern Kentucky, you're going to want to call my buddy, the rock star realtor, Benji Bowie. And you say, Wolfie, how do I get in touch with this rock star? Well, you can call him directly at 615-390-8216. You can go to his website, bowiehomes.com. That's B-U-I-E homes.com. Or you can email him at benbowie34@gmail.com. When you need a home, you need the Rockstar Realtor.
Benji is a member of Exit Realty's Garden Gate team in Gallatin, Tennessee.
Okay, I'm back from subscribing to YouTube channels. And I guess, Jimmy, like we usually do, we'll start with you on this next top 5.
Okay, so I'm going to just say it then. My number 5 is, they were originally known as the tag team from the Four Horsemen, but they really got to focus their shine when they got to the WWF, and that's the Brainbusters, Tully and Arn. I was really fighting myself not to put the Minnesota Wrecking Crew in this spot, but I just thought from my childhood and my enjoyment, really the Andersons tag team, the peak of that team probably was Gene and Ole, and I just don't know as much about them as I wish I did. I've seen several of their matches, but to me, Tully and Arn to me were so good, so scientific. Another team that were kind of like the FTR. To me, a lot of people say FTR try to model the Midnight Express. Yeah, I see that, but I also see the Brainbusters in them just as much, So anyway, Tully and Arn, there's not a whole lot you have to say about. You can just say Tully and Arn and it's a compliment, right?
Right. And what's funny is that is my number 5. That is my number 5. We're on the same one right there.
This may be a similar top 5 then.
Yeah, I mean, what else can you say about them? I mean, they were that fluid. They were that tag team and they were the ones that was, in WCW, they were the Horsemen as the tag team, and the Horsemen were the thing, and the Horsemen drew money, and that was the tag of the stable. What else can you say? I'll be honest, and that was how I was then. I wasn't a big fan when a lot of my guys would go from WCW to WWF at that time. I didn't like the fucking Brainbuster name. It was like, it wasn't the same to me. They weren't the Horsemen there.
Right. No, you're exactly right. And that's a good point. I guess I use that in place of just saying Tully and Arn, but you're right. They won the tag titles, but they probably were more, the WWE is just gonna, when you get there, it as well as anybody, they are going to size you up against their biggest teams, and then they'll see what you're worth. And they never really gave PG-13 a chance, as we know, but with the Brainbusters, to me, I guess they gave them the tag titles, and y'all would have been stoked about that. But, at the same time, it didn't feel like the same tag team. Even though they were great, didn't feel like the same tag team. So.
Right. I even was, like, the first time Flair went, I was just kind of like,
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah, we didn't have a clue what was going on in the back scenes of things and how Jim Herd was a total asshole. But to me, Ric Flair was WCW or NWA or Jim Crockett and Hogan. And I loved the differences in them, it was like a cartoon versus a Godfather or Scarface,
Yeah.
It was definitely two different kinds of things. But, we could even do a whole show about why that Ric Flair and Hogan never made it till they came together later on. But at the same time, it was probably something similar to what Jake said about them not working out, where Jake said, he got over and Hogan didn't or whatever. But long story short, I agree. But to me, Tully and Arn definitely truly are that one. So anyway, my number 4, since your number 5 was the same, and I don't want to stop you if you were going to say
No,
something.
I was just going to say, I think you rolled doubles on that one, so it's your turn again.
I know, you're right. So number 4, and everybody that listens to this podcast must just think that I am the biggest complete kiss ass in the world. Because invariably on every podcast list we do, they're just like, oh, he's just doing that because Wolfie's there. He's just doing that because Wolfie's on he's got his podcast with. Anyway, my number 4, it's the boys from the hood, the P to the G. So anyway, I mean, y'all are number 4 because I couldn't put you in the top 3 because I don't even think y'all would put you in the top 3. But
I put myself in the top 10.
Yeah, well,
out of humbleness, and you know what I'm saying?
Of course, dude. I mean, there are a million tag teams, but to me, dude, I want there to be a PG-13 renaissance. And I think people need to really dig in deep and go back to some of these matches, man, because I feel like y'all fit in with all of these teams, even though some of them are monsters and other tag teams are totally mat workers and have not as much charisma or that kind of thing. But I don't know. I think y'all easily fit in the top 10. You know, some lists I saw y'all in the top 25, some in the top 50. But at the same time, I think you're easily in the top 10. And number 4 is PG-13 for me. So.
Gracias, you kiss ass son of a bitch. No, I'm just kidding. I'm totally joking. Let me say this without saying I deserve to be in the top 10. I don't know what I do or not. That's up to you. That's up to the people that listen. I know in my mind what I think, and I just, out of humbleness, I keep that to myself. Sure. I could probably tell you where I ranked. If you know, were we better than this team? Were we better than that team? Some I would say yes, some I would say no. But I will tell you this. I know it don't mean shit, really, in the grand, like business-wise, it doesn't mean shit. But if you go back to some of the, you know, before the internet, the Pro Wrestling Illustrateds and the Insider and Ringside and all these wrestling magazines that had, you know, you'd open up, and I used to love looking at it, and that middle page in PWI where you had all the companies, the champion, the top 10, and then you had the top 10 wrestlers out of everybody, all the territories, all the organizations, then you had the top 10 tag teams.
Yeah.
A very large number of times the PG-13 appears in the top 10 out of everybody.
Right.
I know that is a fictional book, but it's also dependent on what's going on, and it's in the narrative of wrestling. I mean, it actually, in a way, does kind of mean something. So being that a lot of times is super humbling. And I just think it says, you know, hey, these guys are good enough to be up here. And it also had to do with the fact that we were the champions so much in USWA, and the magazines gave that credibility. So I don't know really what else to say. I think we were a good tag team. Definitely
a good tag team. And if you ask tag teams that are critically acclaimed to this day, you know, a lot of people talk about how great the Motor City Machine Guns are. They're one of the better tag teams with the Briscoes and FTR. You know, some people would ask them, well, guess who influenced the Motor City Machine Guns? PG-13. So again, I'm just saying that, you know, people can take it for what it is, sucking up, whatever, but I'll have an argument every day for PG-13 being in the top 10. Heck, I've got them in the top 5, so eat that. So, yeah, man. What's your number 4, brother?
So on to my number 4 would be PG-13's nemesis, the Rock and Roll Express. And the reason I put Rock and Roll there, they're still going. They're Hall of Famers, obviously. Great workers, you know, have slowed down, but they're still going. It's kind of like the Ric Flair thing, you know. They're like the Ric Flair tag team right now.
Right.
You get the last tour and all this kind of stuff. But, man, Ricky and Robert, man, they did it, man. They did a lot of shit, drew a lot of money for a long time.
Long time.
You know, somehow remained friends through it all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's impressive, right? I mean, I don't know that they ride together every time.
No.
But they figured out that happy place, right?
Yeah.
You know, you think like
they've had their ups and downs personally, but
sure.
They made it through it. That's G.I. Joe. Learning is half the battle. Is that it?
Hey, that's it. That's it, dude. And if you think about it, they learned a way to to maintain that tag team by not riding together, maybe not staying together. Maybe Ricky had to bring his wife along or his son along. Maybe Robert was a guy that rode solo, maybe whatever. But
Ricky had a carload sometimes now.
Yeah.
He had a carload.
Yeah.
Looked like circus clowns getting out of that little car. They just kept coming.
I just remember a buddy of mine, he was going to book them, okay? And he said, well, I can get Ricky for this, okay? And it was a exceptionally low amount to get Ricky Morton. And he said, I can get Robert for this. He said, I put that together. That's a pretty good deal. And I said, okay. And he calls him up and he's like, yada, yada. And he's like, man, they came back to me with this crazy 4-digit number, like talking all this and this. I was like, dude, you're not getting them solo.
Right.
That's a different price bracket than them together, bro. Are you kidding me? So anyway, I just had to throw that story in there because there's got to be value in the complete package, as you know, with PG-13 and all that. I mean, hopefully everybody will be seeing y'all soon in 2023. I think PG-13 is going to be PG-23.
Yeah,
so,
there's a few of them lined up right now. Not a ton, but it should get going.
It'll get going, yeah. And hey, vendors and convention owners and all that good stuff, holler at the boys. This is time right now. So anyway, so number 3, man, these top 3 to me, you could literally throw them in a blender and let them come out any way they want because I would be happy with one. But I'm only doing this because as a kid, I hated them, but I grew to love them and respect them more than almost any tag team there was, but the Midnight Express. It's specifically Bobby and Stan, although I did love Bobby and Dennis. I did, but at the same time, it felt like a well-oiled machine when you had Bobby and Stan together, man.
I'm in agreement with that duo and Cornette and just the whole shebang there. You had
dude with Big Bubba in their corner, all that. It was just such a good crew. And you're right, Cornette is equally a member of that team because when I first was getting in the business, I wanted to be a manager. And I was like, I just want to be a manager. Kenny Still, he's like, no, let's train. You're 24. Let's train you to wrestle. You can do that. And I'm like, no, I don't want to wrestle. And he's like, well, okay, let's be a referee. And I said, okay, I don't want to be a referee. I want to be a manager. And he's like, yeah, but a manager really don't mean anything, you know? And I learned that now. I mean, not to say that they don't, but you know what I'm saying? In the grand scheme of things, you know, a lot of managers suck heat away from their guy. Do they not?
Yeah, and if the guy doesn't know how to use his manager correctly, or if the manager just doesn't know how to work correctly,
right? Exactly.
It can still be done, but yeah, the manager thing in general is just not what it used to be. Is that because of the lack of talent? I don't know.
Right. Right. But, you know, with Jim Cornette and Bobby Heenan and those guys, and Father Jim, they magnified the heat. So, yes, the heat was coming to them too, but they magnified the heat on their guys. And
here's the thing. They didn't just walk to the ring with a wrestler.
Right.
They managed the wrestler. That's where they, you know, supposedly, you know, back in the day, this person actually managed this person's career.
Booked flights. Gary Hart, Paul Ellering, Jim Cornette.
Like Mitchell or Cornette, they had a crew of guys they managed, so that made them like a hotshot agent, I guess is what you would compare it to now, right?
Totally.
So there's the thing. Maybe they should start calling them agents, and have them be real agents. I don't know.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that's a legitimate thing because manager, you know,
without the Midnight Express, who don't get too far off of that was your pick. Without the Midnight Express, would Jim Cornette be the Jim Cornette that we know today? Love him, hate him, whatever your opinion of his shit is, doesn't matter. Would he still be this relevant and this passionate about the wrestling business and still be in it or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Would he be the Jim Cornette we know without the Midnight Express?
I want to say no, but I also feel like that guy's so smart and talented. I feel like he would have scraped his way into something, but I still think no, he would not.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. And that is not a knock. That's just me saying that was the point where Jim Cornette turned into Jim Cornette, you know?
Yes, and that's why I think he feels like a brother to those guys, you know? Of course. Because I feel like, those they were kind of like the Freebirds in a sense, except you didn't, Jim wasn't in the ring, but Jim
was fucking 20, 30 feet above it, falling on his fucking tailbone.
I know, because Big Bubba didn't catch him. And I'm just sorry, Ray Traylor should be a hell of a catch, man. All I'm saying. But, I've tried to catch big bastards, and I've told that story before, and then they expected me to catch him, and then he bumps his little knee on the outside floor or something, and he jumps on me about it. But anyway, 400-pound dude flying at me. I'm sorry. But anyway, long story short on that, Jim Cornette would still have eked out a living. He would have probably just been more backstage, honestly. I don't know. But to me, the Midnights allowed him to be him. And it just was so perfect. And it just worked. Like you said, your number 4 team was the Rock and Roll. If they didn't have the Rock and Roll, I mean, just the Battle of the Expresses. Oh, my God. It was just such a perfect time, Anyway, go ahead.
Okay. So what are we at? Number 3?
Yes.
Okay, so my number 3 is going to be, for the amount of heat that they had, another foreign gimmick. I'm going with Uncle Ivan, and Nikita, the Koloffs. We know what great matches they had. They were just, War Games era, all that shit, man. And I had to throw that type of heel tag team in here, man. Just they were. Again, I'm almost repeating myself from Nikolai in that, but the Koloff, the Russian thing was still a thing that people didn't like.
Yeah, dude, I love that pick. And this is one that I'm kicking myself on there, but Nikita and Ivan, if you look at it from the perspective of Ivan kind of helped create something there with Nikita, because
absolutely, yeah.
Nikita, I think I heard him talking. He was like, do you want to just be Scott Simpson from Minnesota with a regular look? And I mean, he theoretically could have been a Road Warrior style worker, I'm sure, but shaving his head, becoming Nikita Koloff, the dude even changed his legal name.
And I was, man, honestly, as a kid, I was, I can't remember how old I was when I first heard his voice, that he really didn't talk like a
right.
I was like, what?
He doesn't talk like. Did you ever know anybody that did
hoodwinked?
Yeah, exactly. Did you ever know anybody that didn't leave their gimmick in the dorky way, kind of though? Please don't take that wrong. I mean, like some guys, like the Road Warriors Animal, I heard a conversation with him before, and he said, it's kind of annoying that he would never come out of that gimmick, even with us who had known him as long as we had. Did you ever know anybody that didn't? You know what I'm saying? Like, because like there's guys like, maybe Teddy Hart, but there's guys that live the gimmick.
Yes, I have, and not to maybe the extent to that drastic of a voice change or something, but always in gimmick working, just little silly shit that people would do. You knew wasn't like the real personality, I guess. You'd say.
Right. Yeah, because I just can't imagine how funny that would seem. And it's like you would never think of that in Nikita then, but if you were his peer who was around the same age, you would probably be like, okay, dude, he's getting old.
I mean, one good example is Jamie. I mean, but that is him. You would think that personality on TV, or even the personality that you see on a podcast or on YouTube, or at the gimmick table, even he's 100 miles an hour, and you would think this dude's got to slow down when he goes home. He probably, nope, no chill,
zero chill. Yeah. He's wide open all the time, and so he's kind of the ultimate living the gimmick. Like Ric Flair, Jamie Dundee, those guys live the gimmick 24/7. But I don't know, man. It would seem kind of corny to me. So number 2. Now,
You're number 2.
Yeah. So my number 2, and this is I'm going off soul. Oh, this is such an unpopular pick here because it's number 2. But my number 2, I'm just going to say it. You got to leap, right? It's like the high dive at the local swimming hole. The Road Warriors are number 2 for me. Yeah, man. I came to them secondarily because of me liking another set of team or people, and the Road Warriors to me easily could be number 1. I love this tag team. They were just a force to be reckoned with. I think maybe, they're bruiser style, and they were still great. I mean, they still had great move sets. They did their gimmicks so well. I just feel like almost the invulnerability of them gave them number 2 to me. Had they been a little more well-rounded of a worker, and that's so shitty to say. I don't even know how to say,
Totally what you.
So,
I mean, they were a gimmick that no one had ever seen before.
Right.
2 guys that were the perfect 2 to pull it off. Hawk's fucking interviews were like nothing you had heard before.
Exactly.
It was just, and then the Paul Ellering, Paul Ellering, I think, was a huge factor for them. With the just, they're all wild and crazy, and he's the fucking Lex Luthor over there.
Totally.
Just called shots, man, with the newspaper rolled up, and
I know, man.
That was just really cool the way they had that. I say like a Lex Luthor. I think that might be the best analogy I can think of, or the X-Men's guy in the wheelchair, whatever his name is.
I love that. Yeah, I love the Lex Luthor. I love the Professor X gimmick too. Yeah, that's a great idea both ways. Cerebral manager all the way around. You said like an agent, So.
He was controlling 2 giant supervillains.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's it, dude.
Yeah, the baddest of the bad.
Warriors of, once they were over, but the Road Warrior pop, all that stuff. But their WWF stuff, I would like to forget most of it. But it's when I got to work with them.
Exactly. I was gonna say that one night on Raw, though, not forget that.
Yeah.
So how was it wrestling them? I know you didn't really get like a good run with them, but how did it? Were they super snug? I mean, talk a little bit about that.
Not so bad, man. I mean, was there and fuck, they're big dudes, man.
Right. Right.
Nothing I wasn't used to and nothing that pissed me off, or and they worked with us. You saw that. I mean, they could just beat us down, not give us nothing, but they wanted to give us a little bit because they liked us, and they kind of understood where we were coming from of going to walk out that night. I think that even like kind of said, damn, these kids got balls. You know what I'm saying?
It may have elevated them, because honestly, dude, they would have done that. They would have believed totally in you all standing up for your principles, dude. That was them. They, so much like that. A lot of people say they were the Hogan tag team, but in a lot of ways, I feel like they were the Bruiser Brody tag team. They just, unfortunately, were a tag team and didn't get murdered in Puerto Rico. But what I mean by that is they didn't put up with no shit, man.
Yeah, so they let us get what little, like I said, they didn't have to give us nothing.
Right.
And they could have just, and I don't think, to be honest with you, they probably were told just to kill us.
Yeah.
And I think that might have been their audible, because the shit that we did, other than Jamie doing his karate and shit, that was Jamie saying, let me get my karate in at least.
and that clothesline was awesome. Whatever. Yeah.
And I even told him, I called the double backdrop because I said, I can get to the moon with you two if you'll just, push on my knees.
Yeah.
And I did. And then Hawk was like, hey, give me the pile driver, the spike pile driver. I'll no sell it and blah, blah, whatever. So they were giving us a little bit. And I don't know if that had anything to do with it. But anyway, that's a good pick.
Do you like giving the pile driver?
Did I like it?
Yeah. Do you like that? Is that a move you normally do? No.
No, I don't think my pile driver's that great. I really don't like it. So I didn't use it a lot.
Yeah. Well, I was just curious, because that was kind of one of his spots, is no selling a pile driver, So, anyway.
I've never been a pile driver guy, especially in Memphis. You don't do the pile driver.
Right. Yeah, that's a sacred spot. Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
go ahead with your number 2, brother.
So my number 2 is going to be the Steiner brothers. And again, we're talking about WCW Steiner brothers.
Right.
Had some innovative moves, especially coming out of Scotty. And we're not talking about Big Papa Pump. We're talking about, the Steiner brothers with the Michigan coach and all that.
Yes.
Shit.
Love that tag team. Right, not the varsity club. This is totally the Steiners. And then when they would wear the, multicolored gimmick, singlets that were just so outlandish and crazy, but they also worked, and they always just seemed like just such a couple of badasses too,
They were tough. They could wrestle. You knew they could wrestle because they did it in college,
Right.
They had that, and then they're bulldogging motherfuckers off the top rope, off the shoulders, and of course Scott with the Frankensteiner. And
what was that move that Scott would do where he didn't do it all the time, but he would have somebody in a body slam, okay, like holding them up, and then he did a front flip. And he would like land on his back of his neck almost, but it's a
backflip, wasn't it?
That may be what it was. Yeah, maybe that's what it was.
On his head, yeah.
Yeah, he would land on his head. It always looked horrible, but honestly, I don't know. I think it was just
would get over. He would rotate enough where it looked good, but then sometimes it looked like it hurt him.
Yeah, it did, man.
Right.
That was impressive too, holding somebody.
They were big guys too, wasn't little.
Yeah, they didn't. Yeah, not little guys. And, of course, the Frankensteiner dude. I mean, it bugs me that people call it a Hurricane Rana as Ricky Morton says, a Hurricane Rana. And I'm like, it's a Frankensteiner. Come on.
Yes, Frankensteiner. And to me, see what Ricky used to do, the whole run up, sit up for a second, then go.
Right.
It's a different move to me.
It is, because it's like a delay. It's like he's bringing you over with his legs rather than the momentum.
I did that move. I don't know where he got that from, if he's the first one to ever do it, but that was the first person I ever saw do it, and it was super impressive. So
definitely. Yeah.
Coming from his size too.
Oh, bro, that size. And it's funny. My brother and I were talking about this the other day on the Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling podcast, also available. Anyway, sorry, that was a Christmas plug. Anyway, these Steiners were both similar size, similar build, but who did you always think of as the powerhouse growing up?
Rick.
Yeah, dude, exactly. But didn't Scott? I mean, if you look at them, they're the same size, if not maybe Scott being a little bigger, You
just always felt like, and I can tell you from wrestling Rick, and I think I've told you this before talking about something, but man, when he's just one of them dudes, when he grabs you, you can feel his strength. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not that he's really hurting you or anything. You just know if this motherfucker wants to fucking throw me over the top rope, he can.
Yeah. Yeah, he can do it, no problem. It's kind of like when Kamala was talking about wrestling Andre the Giant. He said, he got animal strength. Anyway.
That's a good impersonation.
Thanks, man. But yeah, Rick, to me, I always loved the kind of half crazy, weird gimmick that he would do, the two different boots. I always liked that a little bit, especially when Kevin Sullivan would kind of beat on him and stuff. But he came into his own with his brother as the Steiners, and then did go to the WWF. And I don't think Vince should have made them mega stars, man.
Yeah.
Everything on paper, they're the funny thing is they're at the time I remember thinking, man, those promos suck. They're just not good at promos. But actually that became kind of charming about them in a weird way. Like it became something that was actually good about them. Like, anyway, you got to do this, brother. And say, grab yourself and, that kind of thing. And then Scott, of course, I can never imitate Scott. Scott's got his totally other thing where he's doing math and stuff. And, but those guys just got that great Michigan accent with that awesome college background, and they just kill it, man. Great tag team. Definitely should be a top 10. So, all right. So my number 1, and This one was tough, but it's a no-brainer to me. And I got to do a few things with this guy. I met him several times. I was ultimately a Ricky Morton fan, but ultimately I was the Rock and Roll Express, man. And that's my number one tag team. Yeah. Number one, yeah, bro, because I just feel like, to me, that was they made me a wrestling fan. So
really? I get your angle. I see why. Yeah,
because I was a kid and I was a total babyface fan, of course, like we all were. You know, you get older, and that was the one babyface tag team that I always cheered for, even though I got into the heel mode and only liked heels and, you know, that kind of thing, and then loved Ric Flair, but I never stopped loving the Rock and Roll. I used to want to be Ricky. I used to call myself Ricky Morton. I don't think I would do the same things now, but hey, you know, we got to interview him on the podcast. I've got to manage against Ricky. I actually got called a mark because of it, and I was like, we're all marks. We're at Mike Porter's. Ain't one of us getting paid. You're telling me you're not a mark? I mean, it's a picture of a mark, right? I mean,
that's a bit of a mark there.
If you're in the ring wrestling 20 minutes and you're not getting paid, you're a mark. Sorry. Anyway, and I said it. I'm like, yes, I'm a mark. And Charming Charles was like, well, if you know, Charles didn't call me a mark. It was a guy who is a total mark called me a mark. And he said, well, if it means that much to you, Jimmy, go ahead. The problem is I was coming out twice already, so I actually dropped off one of those matches that probably needed me. But anyway, I didn't care, dude, because I took my shot, man, and I wanted to manage against Ricky Morton, and it's not a big deal. You can call me a mark later, but anyway, long story short, the Rock and Roll Express. My brother was brown hair, I was blonde. We loved the babyface tag teams. It just made sense, and always been a fan, and will always be a fan of the Rock and Roll Express. So.
Yeah. All right, my number one tag team on this greatest tag teams list is going to be the Midnight Express.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Do you remember the music?
Oh, dude. Giorgio Moroder, The Chase. Yeah.
Me and my buddy used to we love that. They had it's the total package there. Two great workers in the ring that worked well together.
Yeah.
Jim Cornette on the outside, who knew exactly what he was fucking doing as far as in ring, very I guess as a comedian, they call it, what is it? Physical comedy?
Physical comedy, yeah.
Yeah. It's
slapstick.
Cornette. Yeah. He took good goofy bumps and lots of them. So you had that total package right there.
Yeah.
Everything from interview to moves to innovation.
Yeah.
And I know you already had them on your list.
Right.
And if you remember, when I was talking earlier about the Pro Wrestling Illustrated, and you'd see the top 10 rankings, right? 1 through 10.
Right.
And then at the top, it would have champion, right?
Yeah.
Well, my champion greatest tag team of all time is the Road Warriors. So that's my audible that I was calling.
Okay. Fair enough. I'll allow it.
I was just laughing there, Jimmy. That was spur of the moment audible, because I had to. When you mentioned the Koloffs, that was one I did not have on my list, and I was not willing to take anyone off for them, but right. I knew I could put them in there. So that's why it's my show. And I say we could do a top 10 with a champion on our list now. So we can have 11. We can have 11 now.
11 teams. Okay, well, I'm moving PG-13 to that spot. And then number 4, how about Dennis and Bobby, and then Stan and Bobby? Anyway, I'm not going back on mine, but I love all that. And yes, I'm totally with it. And you're right. It is your show. So what can we say? We can make a top 11 next time if you want. But yeah, dude, I mean, the Midnights and the Road Warriors, dude.
Yeah. To speak on the Road Warriors, I mean, I've said enough about them on all these shows, man, probably. But yeah, man, dude, they redefined everything, man. They redefined everything as far as tag team wrestling, in my opinion, man.
Absolutely.
And it was perfect, man. It was fucking perfect. It lasted. Unfortunately, they both have passed a lot sooner than I'm sure most of us. Can you imagine if they were still doing conventions together? Holy
bro. Oh, bro.
Their line would be out the fucking door at every one of them.
Oh, bro. I do think about that a lot. Like, what if Bruiser Brody would have lived? What if Hawk and Animal were still alive? I mean, honestly, oh man, it's so sad to think about. I remember when hearing Hawk died, and I was just like, oh man, that is the end of something amazing. It's like Ronnie Van Zant dying in the airplane, I mean, that's a legendary person that is no longer on this earth.
Yeah. You know what, man? As a kid, like, not really wrestlers. I don't know that I was actually into wrestling about this time period, I'm going to say. But
sure.
I was such a mark for Kiss that I was afraid one of them was going to die.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've thought about that sometimes. Like, man, I feel like one of these days, plane crash or something. Who knows what made me think that? But I was always like, I hope one of Kiss don't die ever.
Yeah. Seriously. Now they would just replace them. Yeah. It's good that they didn't. I mean, even Ace, who probably came close several times, is still alive. I don't know that I ever thought that directly about a band, but I'm sure I love things that much that you would definitely not want to die. Man, I just remember, when you heard about people like Bruiser Brody, and I'm bringing him up a lot, but the thing is it put a reality spin on something that, you're like, man, these guys, they can never die. And then they die. And then somebody kills them. And it was just this tragedy. And then the Von Erichs dying and stuff. And, it put a tragic spin on things. But, dude, to me, the Road Warriors were that tag team that would never be gone. And then when Hawk died, I mean, it was like 46 or something. Yeah. I mean, it was like, seriously, that to me is because I don't know how close you were to, like, because he died in 2003 at 46, and he had just been moving. I think he had met a new woman, and he moved into a new place, and he had moved into a bunch of boxes, and he didn't feel great. He went and laid down, and boom, that was it. But God, I mean,
it was right after, man, that they came into TNA, wasn't it?
Yeah, they came into TNA and cleared shop, man.
I took the bump from them again, and a couple, I think.
Yeah. And didn't they kind of went through their own thing to where they didn't like each other for a little bit. I know Hawk went to Japan, and, it was something to the effect that Hawk was kind of unreliable and Animal was the reliable one. I think you probably understand that situation a little bit anyway.
but yeah, they just, Animal kind of was, all business, and Hawk sometimes just didn't give a shit,
Yeah. And hey, I think, that's kind of a picture of a lot of guys, sometimes it's just like, screw this, man. So, but, I just know that you're right. If the Road Warriors were alive today, they would be killing it at conventions.
It would be insane.
Wiping the floor.
I've seen some big lines at some of these for certain people, but I promise you, if those two were alive today and did like WrestleCade or any of that, it would be absolute insanity to get a shot with them. Anyway, but it's been a good show, man.
I agree, brother. I agree.
Good show with these top tens, man.
Yeah, we do. And I have a lot of fun with them. And, we talked mostly older teams, but, to bring things into the current, I'm trying to figure out a segue here, Wolfie D. What is that one thing?
Oh, go ahead.
Current affairs.
Okay.
DJ, hit the music.
It's a current affair. It's a current affair. Lavin in color. It's a current affair. Lavin in color.
All right, we're back with current affairs, and this honestly is a interesting few current affairs here. The number one is right now, the Wall Street Journal recently reported that Vince McMahon is eyeing a comeback, saying he intends to return to the WWE, that he got some bad advice from people close to him to step down, and believes allegations would have blown over eventually had he stayed. Now, the big issue is WWE has kind of become cool again. Triple H has hired a lot of people back that he didn't want to be gone, and it kind of made a few amends on people that he can make amends on, and Vince had kind of, I don't know, a lot of people felt just Vince was super out of touch with the product, and Triple H had a great, spin on everything, and now Vince, who still is the number one owner of the company as far as stock goes, he's talking about coming back. What do you think about that, man?
I think there's your storyline.
Yeah.
Vince comes in as he was one of the biggest heels in the history of the company. He comes in as Mr. McMahon again, taking his shit back against Hunter, his fucking snot-nosed, bratty-ass son-in-law, and they work an angle there.
Dude, really? That's it, brother. Yeah.
I did see something about him making a comeback, but you told me more about it than I had known, and that was just my reaction. That's my knee-jerk reaction right there.
I love that, actually, and if everybody would take it from that perspective, maybe they wouldn't fall to pieces about this, because I think what people are saying is like, well, this new stepdad's been really cool, man. He bought me a toy after work every day, and he's doing all this stuff, but I don't want to go back to dad. I like the stepdad, that kind of thing. And that's a kind of a weird spin on it, but what I mean by that is, Triple H is currently doing his picture. Vince had relieved a lot of people of work. He brought back his buddy. He's got Shawn Michaels running, NXT. He's got our buddy, Road Dogg, your friend, longtime friend, Road Dogg on the team again. He's probably going to sign William Regal back. Bray Wyatt brought all these people back. And if Vince comes back, what does that do to that? I hope, in a sense, that it is exactly what you're talking about. It's a storyline, and they use it. I hope that's the case, because that's going to put fans in an uproar, dude, because they're just so happy. And it's almost turned the tide, because now AEW is seen as kind of lame,
Yeah.
And I know our listeners are probably like, what are you talking about, man? AEW's never lame. But we thank y'all for listening. Long story short, I think you got it right there. Storyline time. So my number two, this one's unfortunate, but the Matt Riddle, he was former UFC guy, trained a little bit in the business by Blue Meanie, that kind of thing. Pretty prominent character there for a while. Essentially, he's now out for rehab, and what they're saying is that it was possibly cocaine, MDMA, allegedly, these kind of things, because, he's a big smoker, so they don't test for pot anymore, but he was forced to go to rehab. That's why he was abruptly written off TV. A lot of people thought it was an injury or something like that, but long story short, man, I know we bring up rehab and you end up saying, yeah, man, I know how it is and stuff, and I hate to even bring up the rehab stories, but it is one of the bigger current affairs right now, so hope we can get it right.
That's for him. I mean, if that's, because, man, there's smoking weed, whatever. That's why they took it off of there. But most of everything else, man, will grab you by the balls, man. Especially
it will.
Shit, man. Alcohol will grab you by the balls and make you do things that you normally wouldn't. As to where pot will make you put off things that you normally wouldn't, or something like that. But that's about it, So I would best. Evidently, I mean, you don't want to go in there and lose a good spot. And I know that from experience. So yeah,
but hopefully you can come out and get back in line of things. And, hopefully they don't do it the old school way where they push him all the way down the card, but he might. But that's okay. He's young. He'll work it out. It'll be fine. But anyway, Matt Riddle, we hope the best for you, brother. Just come out clean and you'll be good. So number 3 current affair, not to waste any time. This one is interesting. Basically, the most recent pay-per-view, or one of the more recent, was a Survivor Series where they, instead of teams of 5 strive to stay alive or whatever, they did a War Games as their main event. And it appears that in the match, Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns both received ruptured eardrums, man. Yikes. Has that ever happened to you, ruptured eardrum?
No.
Yeah.
I would definitely remember that. No.
Yeah.
I've been hit real hard in the ear where it rings, but I don't think busting no eardrum.
Man, it's crazy. I think Roman actually got one from a slap that he apparently didn't approve or something that Kevin Owens laid on him, and it was pretty stiff, and I think they got heated exchange in the back about it, but apparently that was where he got his ear rupture. But it's just odd that happens to two different guys, and
the same match.
Yeah, it tells you maybe what's the work rate style right now with some guys, but hopefully they get back together. But I'm just checking to see if you ever had a ruptured eardrum before.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't, I'm not saying accidents don't happen, but if you can't throw a slap without busting somebody's eardrum, you might want to remove that move from your repertoire.
Seriously, or you go train on that a little more,
Go around smacking hoes. That's a joke, folks.
Yeah.
Smack a hoe.
Smack a hoe from the Smack a hoe tribe. Never met. All right. Well, man, that's pretty much it for current affairs. I know there's a couple other things, bits and bots out there, but as it goes right now, no need to beat a dead horse. Right now, we just hope that Vince McMahon's deal is a storyline, and, we hope y'all enjoyed this show today, the top 10 tag teams. I want to say once again, very Merry Christmas from us to you once again. Pro Wrestling Tees, support the fellas here, and hopefully everybody buys themselves a nice PG-13 t-shirt or something fun like that. But, other than that, man, Wolfie D, I want you to have a Merry Christmas, brother.
I hope you do too, man. Like we said earlier, these holidays can be stressful, but
yeah.
Hope everybody does enjoy themselves and take it in for what it is, because you never know if you'll see the next one. So that's why sometimes I get off on these tangents like I did earlier about how things change and stuff. But I just like to see people just love one another. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, man. That's the way it is. Just love each other,
Ain't none of us perfect. Just love.
No, and just love each other and be available to be loved. Let somebody love you too. That's the other thing. Sometimes
the golden rule has vanished, bro. To do unto others as you can do unto you. I see, there was something, and I hate to be, negative here, but let's keep it real. I'm watching this thing where in New York, this guy with a ball bat swaps this fucking dude in the fucking back of the head. He's standing there kayfabing. The guy walks past him, minding his own fucking business, and this dude fucking pulls out a bat out of his pants and whacks him across the head. He was out of jail, posted bond, and already back on the streets, man. And this dude's in ICU. You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
I bet that dude wouldn't want someone to do that to him. And that was just my point of do unto others as you would have them do unto you. If you bust somebody in the head with a fucking bat, maybe you need to have one busted across your head too and not be let out of jail, because I guess New York is criminal free or whatever, crime free, or however that goes with they don't care if you, whatever the fuck you do up there. But
yeah, that was an extra current affair. Yeah.
Anyway. Seriously, on a positive note, man, thank you guys for listening to the top 10 tag teams. And we really hope all of you have a very Merry Christmas, and tune in to us next week to see what we got for you.
And now a word from our sponsor.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling, the podcast that's based on the old school but can still help you find the good stuff from today. Jimmy Street and the Plastic Chic, Jared, are the undisputed tag team champions of the wrestling podcast world. From thought-provoking topics to superstar interviews to action figure expertise. This team does it all, and all they ask is, give me back my pro wrestling! Every other Thursday, wherever you listen to podcasts.
That's right, it's the talk of Middle Tennessee, the channel you love to hate and the channel you hate to love. It's Brian Turner from Brian Turner's VHS Rehab. And if you're looking for matches from Wolfie D to Jerry Lawler to Dusty Rhodes and the team that put a pimp before your eyes and a goatee between your thighs, Booty Call and Athena, go to lostwrestling.com. See, I made it easy for you. Brian Turner's VHS Rehab. Booyah.
So that was another great episode. Hey, Wolfie, tell them where they can find you on social media.
Jimmy, they can find me in the club, bottle full of bub. I'm just kidding. They can find me on Facebook. My personal page is Warren Wolf, WOLFE. I'm on Instagram at Warren Wolf 13.
You can always find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Live Wolfie D. Here's the thing. Wolfie always has offers for his autographed photos. He has a selection of some awesome photos from throughout his career that he will autograph and personalize any way that you want him to. Just contact him either directly at his personal Facebook page or through any one of our other pages, and we'll make sure you get in contact directly with Wolfie. Get those photos, right, Wolfie?
Yeah, I've got some good stuff on there, to help with the podcast.
Folks, if you can't get out to a show to meet Wolfie D, there's nothing like that, especially for the fans of PG-13 and Wolfie D. And before we go, you can always find me, your host, Jimmy Street, at jamesrockstreet on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube.
And hey, Jimmy, before we go real quick, I just want to add in there, from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate, first of all, the work you've done for this podcast. You have worked your butt off. Secondly, the people that are liking the page. Beyond that, even more, is the people that are listening, and we really appreciate that.
Yeah, and remember, guys, the podcast drops a new episode every Monday at noon, and our past episodes are streaming now on demand on all major podcast formats. Thanks again.
I got a cap for your dome. He got a cap for your dome. I got a cap for your dome. He got a cap for your dome. He got a cap for your dome. And here we go. The original white boy that came out sagging, not bragging, don't be hating, cause I'm spitting the truth. Still livin' in color, from rush your mother, utilize a hubcap, unlike any other. Back in the day, I was N-O-D, and I was P to the G, plus the 1 and the 3. In case you forgot, they call me Wolfie D. Been cloned and copied so many times, tired of suckers taking credit for what is mine. You know who you are, without me name dropping. Wrestling's first white boy coming out hip-hopping. Been doing it like this since 92. Laid low for a while and you thought I was through. Listen real close to these rhymes that I've injected. This shit's so sick it makes your ears get infected. Mad skills, no faking, there is no one great. Cause I'm bringing more folks than Obi-Wan or Vader. Not here to play games, so you better beware. You don't like me, so what? I really don't care. Like time I keep ticking and I can't be stopped. You sucker step to the side unless you wanna get dropped. With my finish, I'll straight knock you out. Please allow me to tell you what it's all about. I'm gonna wind it up, then I'm driving it home. It's Wolfie D, baby. I got a cap for your dome. I got a cap for your dome. We got a cap for your dome. We got a cap for your dome.
This has been a James Rock Street production.